Hello, everybody. It's Maree here from Skeinz. I just had to go and fish some yarn off the floor. Welcome. You're with the Skeinz Diaries. Today is day 6, Thursday, the 28th of May. And as you can see, I have expanded out the camera angle. And that's because I have my good friend here, Barbara, from the Kiwi Family Trust. And I'm trying to think, how many years have you and I been rattling around together now? A while.
Probably good
6 or 7?
7, probably about 7, nearly 8. But
yeah.
the 8 after this winter, yes,
I know,
definitely, yes.
I know. Where does it go? So it was perfect timing because Barbara is based in Christchurch with the trust, and she comes and visits once a year, and it was perfect timing because you said, I'd love to come and see you on Thursday. And so me being me, not letting a good opportunity for a interview go by, I was like, perfect, Barb, you can come up and be my guest on the Skeinz Diaries. So it's so good to have you here. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And look, good morning, Jeanette and Bev. Good to see you guys. And it's actually chilly. It's quite chilly.
It's cold today, yes.
Yeah, really cold here today, and a bit grey, but that's all right. We're heading into a long weekend, which means nothing, which is fantastic.
Yes.
As you can see, I was just saying to Barbara, I've donned the Rambler today, and I'm very impressed. I'm very colour coordinated with my background.
Yes.
So, no, absolutely delighted with.
Looks good. It looks really good on you.
Yeah, and it's cold, so you know, so that's what we're doing.
I didn't think of that.
No,
I'm probably a bit underdressed, but that's okay.
I know. It's been so good in Christchurch too, so that you haven't had a chance to do that. Now, I'm going to get a few housekeeping things out of the way first, and then we're going to launch into fun stuff with Barbara. You may have noticed that I did put up a newsletter went out yesterday and again this morning, and I put up on the social media this morning about a gift with purchase, and here it is. It's a fantastic yarn. So I'm going to tell you about this yarn a little bit, guys, so in case you're wondering what it is. And it is a yarn that we did, oh gosh, and Maree picks up the one with the whopping great big obvious fault in it. Trust me. What this is it's a yarn that we did for another client. It's actually an export yarn that we did. And there was a twist fault, a slight twist fault in one of the strands, which meant that we couldn't use it for that client. It is 17 micron super fine ethical merino with 30% silk. It is amazing. Its normal retail price is $30 Australian. I know, crazy. We're going to actually sell it in the shop for the sale, and then we just never quite got to it. So then we thought, I know what we're going to do. We're going to save this for our birthday celebration and do it as a gift with purchase. So that is now live. So if you ordered online yesterday, all day yesterday, over $75 or over, excluding freight, and for those that are coming in store from the shop today and tomorrow. And essentially, as long as we still have these balls, if you spend $75, you will get one in your order. So it's a single ball per order, and you feel that. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it's lovely.
I know.
I'll be having to spend $75.
I know. And
Oh.
there'll be a few of those going for the trust.
Oh.
Now, these balls are not for sale. All the balls are going into the gift, so you can't come in and buy them. The only way you can get them is to spend the $75 to get a gift with purchase. So they are absolutely gorgeous.
Very soft.
It is. It's beautiful. And the nice thing about it is it's a 100-gram ball, and it's technically it's a 5-ply, but to be quite honest with you, you could knit this on a 3-point. Actually, I tell you, the needle this works perfectly on is a 3.5 or 3.75. 3.25 is fine, so that's the old number 10 in the old money. A number 9 or a number 10 works really, really well on this.
Yeah, 375 would be perfect.
375 would be perfect. And this would be great. You would get a baby singlet out of this. So if you're wanting to knit a little something for an infant or something like for a newborn, this would be perfect. You would get like a beautiful little cardigan or a little popover, no problem whatsoever with that. So it's a really nice gift to have.
Beautiful.
And you could also, if you really wanted to, you could actually skein that off, whether you do it over your elbow or if you've got a niddy-noddy or even a swift actually. Reverse skeining, if you've got one of those umbrella swifts, and I've done this, one of those umbrella swifts, you just basically wrap your yarn around and then you just flick your swift around from the ball and it will put it back onto the swift, and that will make you a hank as well. if you wanted to be a little bit adventurous and dye some at home, because it is undyed, it doesn't have any other treatments over it, and because of the silk content, you can get some really interesting plays on colours, because silk takes dye differently to wool. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that too. So there's lots of fun stuff that you could do with it. So that is now happening. If you haven't had a chance to get an order in, do. The other thing that I'm going to only warn you guys about, because I'm setting it up today, but only you guys get the warning about it, so that's a little reward, because for those that take the time to listen to the orders, and it's perfect because we're going to be talking a little bit about these yarns with Barbara as well, is these, look at those. Don't they look fantastic? This is Snug, which is our new 8-ply range. We also have Cozy, that's a 4-ply. It's fantastic every day, brilliant for charity knitting, machine washable, 100% New Zealand wool. Now, we're doing another promotion this weekend, and I'm probably going to start it tomorrow if I get everything organised today.
Yes.
The plan is to start it tomorrow because I want to have it all in before I leave today. And it's going to be called the Big Ball Bonanza, because all of these are 100-gram balls. And what we're doing is it's our final big push for the end of the sale. Cozy, Snug, all of Southlander, so that's the Sport, the DK, and the Bulky, Fiddlestick Sock, and Outlaw Bohemia Worsted. So all of those are all big balls, 100-gram plus. All will be going on sale just for the long weekend. So it'll be starting tomorrow all the way through to the long weekend. And you know what? If you spend $75 and we still have gifts, we'll send you a gift too. And I'm kind of hoping we still will, because we did have a good number of those cream balls available. So at this stage, I think we've only gone through about 10% of them. So you could then get a bit of a double up. You could do Big Ball Bonanza plus your gift with purchase. So there you go, twice the fun.
Very good.
All for our 10-year birthday. Right, enough of all of that talking. I'll take that, my dear friend. Now, I wanted to get Barbara in because we talked with Sandra McNair a few weeks ago about charity knitting, but explain to us what it is that you do with the Kiwi Family Trust and how everything, and not just with the knitters, but you do so much. So start us from the beginning and let us know how the whole thing works.
I started it 11 years ago, and I've just started very slowly, but the earthquake was probably, in Christchurch, was probably my big bonanza of the occasion, because we finally, everybody wanted things, and it's just expanded throughout the country. And I call myself Knitting for Plunkett Communities Project. And it's not just knitting, it's crafting, it's all sorts of things.
Sewing,
yes, I get a lot of rugs. I've got a group of ladies in Twizel, and they make the most fantastic quilts. And I picked some up yesterday, which I've just given to Plunkett. I did a bit of a rendezvous outside here this morning with Plunkett.
It was so funny. I mean, about an hour ago, I came out to the shop and I'm thinking, well, that's Barbara. What is she doing? Honestly, it was looking like a dodgy drug deal. There was things moving out of the back of boots. And I'm thinking, what on earth is going on? It was so funny.
Yes, no, it was good. So that was, because Plunkett aren't open, I've just been going to either their houses or meeting them or sending it to the addresses. But I try to keep things within an area that it is knitted, within regions. Like, I've given that to Plunkett today, but if it doesn't need it here, she'll send it off to Wairara or Gisborne or somewhere within the area. I also give to Otamariki here, and hats and all sorts of things that I give them as well. I give all sorts of things to everybody. So we try to keep it within the areas that's knitted, because I find that my knitters like to know that it's going to stay within the area that it's knitted. And they love seeing their things out there. Running around, someone wearing it. Yeah. So I try to do that. And I give to Plunkett, and Pregnancy Helps, and actually anyone that asks, I give to. And I give quite a lot to Little More, who help very poor people in Auckland. A lot goes to them because I've got little satellites around. I've got one out at the Flaxmere Church, which I was at yesterday picking up. And then I've got one over the other side of the country, and I've got one up north. I've got them, and they keep it, and then it gets moved on from there. So all up, I've only got about 500 knitters, but I find I've sort of got a personal relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I've got a with personal relationship with you, and all the Plunket nurses, all the Plunket people know who I am, and so the pregnancy help. So that is my big thing. I try to keep everything so everybody knows everybody. And a lot of my knitters are not savvy. They don't do computer, and they're not on Facebook and that. So they're ringing people. So I have to ring. I ring them and we talk, or they ring me and they talk. And people like to talk about their knitting. Yeah. And over lockdown, I spent a lot of time ringing some of them.
Your phone line would have been running red hot.
They were ringing me and I was ringing them, because a lot of them have got no one and no family or nothing. You know, and it's hard. It's very difficult, and you don't understand that. And like me, like you, I come from a large family of cousins and relations, so they always keep an eye on you. But a lot of people don't have any of that.
No,
and it's lovely. So I do, and that's sort of more or less along the lines I go. I try and it's trying to be a bit more personal with people, rather than putting it in a box and just giving it.
Yes. And I think it's something that I've talked about before, and this is why when you first came to see me all those years ago, because so many of you do inquire. We would honestly, we would get a charity inquiry every single week, and it is so hard because we want to be generous. We want to give to absolutely everybody. And one of the in the early days, pretty much we did that. Because they were quite infrequent. Whereas now it's the need. Popular, yes. And I think you were right when you said before the Christchurch was the spark that created that big first flush of knitting and need.
Because everybody wanted to give to everybody in Christchurch. Yeah. And it started the flood, and it's good, and it's been a good thing. Then a lot of people I found, they knitted for overseas, and they didn't want to give to overseas. Yes. They wanted to give it to local. Yeah. And a lot of my knitters have come from that background.
And that's definitely something that have definitely seen with this COVID crisis, is that there has been a greater focus now, to get our economy back up and running, but there's still the desire and the pleasure that charity knitting brings a lot of your knitters. Like we talked about before we went live, we were talking about the importance with so many people, particularly in the senior group, who so many of them are on their own. Yes. So many of them were at home. They were scared. They didn't necessarily extend their bubbles, or if they did have a single bubble extension, it was very, very small. They didn't have transport, all of those sorts of things. And it was the knitting that, knitting was the one thing.
Knitting is one thing everybody's got in common, and they could knit and they could talk. And
busy.
And a lot of them, when somebody rang up or a charity rang up, because I don't know about up here, but in Christchurch, people different, like the councillors all picked an area and they were ringing, I'm doing my knitting for the Kiwi Family Trust, and it was lovely. Yeah. And they were so proud of what they were doing, and it's lovely, which was good for them, and they felt really important, and I think that's important too.
Well, and I think it's the value of what you do. Yes. Like I know from our perspective, it's knowing that when we donate yarn, that you have this incredible network of knitters, and you're able to actually get that yarn distributed, items are made and then redistributed to those places of need, and you're really good at identifying the need. So one of the other things Barbara did, is one of the areas she had a bit of a hole in, was Tairawhiti in the East Coast, and that's actually where I'm from. That's where my both sides of my family are from. And as I said to Barbara, it was a couple of years ago now, I think we figured this out. I said to Barbara, I have an aunt who's a public health nurse right up on the East Coast. If you ever need to get stuff into the coast, I've got the conduit for you, no problem there, because that's what she does. She's delivering stuff into homes all the time, and I've got other aunts that have just been knitting for it. So it's now brilliant, because once a year I'm able to send a box up from Barbara to her, and she's able to get it out into those families. And that's the thing, it's about that delivery, isn't it?
It's just getting it to the right people. And I find that people say, why don't you just give it straight to this one? But I find if I take it to the head office of Plunket, or the area office, like in Otago is a good example. The lady in charge there is lovely. She sends it all around, and she drives all around the bottom half of the South Island, and she drops it off at all the, which is what I want to do with it. And there's only so many people I can actually contact. Yes. And I've got good relationships. They all know who I am, and I know who they are. And I get some lovely, lovely letters back, especially from down south, of little picture of a little baby and a cute thank you. I get a lot of thank yous, which makes my knitters, and I always make sure they see all that, because that's important. They like to know that some little Johnny down was wearing their jersey, and they go, that was mine. I knitted that. I remember that. So, which is good. I think it's
really
important.
well.
Yes.
So in terms of, when I saw your little handover out in the car park, there was all sorts that was going over there. I noticed there was like little boxes of blankets, like little cot blankets,
mainly cot blankets, because Plunket here, they like the cot blankets here. They find a lot of the little ones get left around a bit long. So we try. I always say to my knitters, make cot size, because it's perfect. So they were cot. Yes, there was about, I think 35 blankets went in the boxes, and hats and jerseys. And jersey to keep them warm, because it is cold, isn't it? As you know.
Absolutely. See, and that's why we're this cozy and snug works and beautifully, particularly for the blankets. So I also work with another the other entity that we do a lot of work with, obviously, is Yarn Hawke's Bay, and they do a lot of do the pack, so they run a different system, and you know Sandra and her mum very well. But the other place we do a lot of work with is the Wellington Neonatal Trust, and many of you have seen the Knitting for Preemie book that we have on our website. And one of the key people that they have, both Wellington Hospital, but then they've also got the store, one of the key people that works for that trust, she's blankets. She just solely concentrates
on blankets.
Because as she said, there's often lots of those garments, but she said the blankets are great because they fit for the cots, but also in the capsules and the buggies
and everything. You can tuck them right round. Whereas the little wee ones like this are actually a waste of time to some of them, because they can't use it long enough.
Yes,
and if you're going to go to all that work and put all that work in, you might as well make it a little bit bigger and make it more useful to people.
Exactly. And this is where this stuff comes in really handy, because it's this is $7.95 at the moment. It's going to be down to $6.95 for Big Ball Bonanza, and it's 100-gram balls, and it just means that you can you've got a full rainbow there. You can make rainbow blankets.
I love that orange.
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it?
I love that orange.
Well, we've been actually, it's so funny, this orange was an orange we did in a range years ago called Prism, and it was and it's a proper classic true pumpkin orange, and it was, in fact, it used to be, I think it was called Pumpkin Patch back then, and it was, I've been itching to bring it back. You do get colours that you just itch to bring back, and that was one of them. And it's a really good true colour, and it's about creating that need. So if somebody's out there and they're either watching this themselves, or they've got a relative or a friend who's been doing some charity knitting, but it's potentially going offshore, or they're not able to get that knitting to its final destination, or their channels for them are not available anymore, do they just go about contacting you?
Well, I can get you to give my details. I've got a Facebook. Well, we're on Facebook, but I've got an email address and I've got a phone number.
Excellent. So I'll make sure I get all of that.
And the trust actually have an 0800 number or an 0508. For free, because some of them can't afford to ring. And there is a lot of that out there. And we do, as I say, I keep the wool and I give it to people that can't afford to buy it, because there is a lot of our knitters that can't afford to buy it.
And so that's actually a really good point for you guys too. I know that there are a number of people that have done lots of spring cleaning while they've been on lockdown and been pulling out yarn from stashes and things like that. If you've got any yarn so you're not necessarily wanting to knit, but you've got some yarn, you're not really 100% sure of what you want to do with it, do come and give us a yell, because Barbara will more than happily take that yarn off your hands and actually get it to her network of knitters as well. So that is another really good opportunity too. So we can do that. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if the technology is going to allow us to work, because I haven't got my glasses on, guys, and I can't read the comments from this.
No, that's me.
But I'm going to see if I can pull everything up on here and see.
And the funny thing is about the knitting and the wool, do you know, if you put things out in front of a family, they'll pick up the bright colours.
Yeah.
The children love them. Children love bright coloured jerseys and stripy jerseys, all your odd bits of wool. They love them. They love colour.
Yeah, they do.
Then they pick it. It doesn't matter where in New Zealand you go, they always pick out the bright coloured jersey. And we give a lot to preschools. I've got one in Dunedin. I've just given a whole lot of things to, all the bright hats and some jerseys for I always put the Dessol, the Dessol ones, and they took the brightest things in the things, and they love them.
And I'm so glad that you said that too, because people that watch me regularly know that I have this rant, because I talk about it quite often. It says she who's got this undyed yarn, but I have this real thing about about white yarn on babies, and I particularly bleach white, and it's only because baby bodily fluids and bleach white yarn are not happy friends.
No.
And it's really funny because we get a lot of skaboo nurses come in and for the local skaboo here, and they honestly, no pastels for those girls.
No.
They all bright colours. They love the richness and the vibrant. And as they said, they just want their precious little bundles that they look after to have those sort of bright colours. So if you are wanting to knit, don't feel that it has to be in
baby wool,
traditional baby wool or traditional baby colours. These yarns, brights is great. And if you don't have stuff, like if you've got yarn that isn't super soft yarn that you're worried about may not be suitable for infants, remember there are still outerwear as well. So a lot of you do a lot of stuff for those plunket aged kids. Sort of, plunket starts from 6 weeks from memory, but if
it does. It goes right up to 5 years.
5 years, exactly.
Yeah.
And so
that's why we go into preschools because of that. Plunket suggest one to me, so I give to a few, and they love it. They really love all the little goodies and all the things. And I work with Wrap Up Our Schools, and I do the preschools, and she does the schools. And you make collaborations with other groups,
you do,
and volunteer, all these different things that you mix up with. They are perfect for these. And that's what you've got to work with. You've got to work with all these different groups.
Yeah, you do.
And we work together. There's no point in all being doing the same thing, is there?
Absolutely. And also too, if you've got a knitting circle at home, I know a number of them are involved with certain volunteer organisations all through the church, and you are looking, as I said, you aren't able to connect with your usual channels. Barbara will always help you put things connected. Now, Annie's saying here as well that she's got a sister who works for a daycare, and she does a lot of knitting. So I will make sure, Annie, that I get all of Barbara's details in the comments for you if you want to get hold of her. Oh, now here we go. Janice has asked, I would love to know what the pattern of the green top in the background. Thanks. That's
lovely.
This one here, Janice.
Yes.
There's a story behind that, and there is no pattern for it. But I can tell you, Janice, all that is a it's knitted on a chunky yarn. So all it is it's just a rectangle folded around into a poncho with the rolled collar on it. Okay, so that's what it is, all done in garter stitch. It's knitted on a big needle, and I bought that in January. I was in South America in January, and I was in Chile, and I went to a place called Puerto Montt, and it's a tiny, tiny little town heading sort of towards the southern part of Chile. And it was it's one of this area is known for two things. One is for its cheese. It's very famous for its cheese, and a mountain. It's got a mountain that looks very like Mount Taranaki. So it's got this conical mountain. It's known for its cheese, and it's also known as being a hub for handcrafts in Chile. So they have these incredible cooperatives and of these hand artisans. So I bought this off a local family, and they grow the sheep. So it's their own flock. They hand dyed it with local flowers. So that's all hand dyed with local flowers from the garden. It's been hand drop spindle spun and then knitted. So that's what that is.
The colours probably don't even come up properly on there.
No, they don't.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's really sort of greeny and rustic. And so they've gone in, it's all been sort of natural hand dyed, and and that's what that is. And it's I've often talked about that when I go away, I don't necessarily buy traditional souvenirs. I either buy yarns. In this case,
it wouldn't be a craft if you didn't.
I know, and it's just really funny because of course it's January, which is summer, but they had a bit of a cold snap, and we were actually going around the bottom of Cape Horn, and I didn't pack any warm clothing. Like I had a light, I think a very light jacket, but we were warned that the weather was going to get quite cold and quite nasty. And so all of a sudden I'm thinking, it's going to get a bit rough. So I bought that, and I ended up from pretty much
lived in it.
There was about 4 or 5 days when we went before we got back into warm weather again that I ended up. It was quite warm. Right. Everyone's really chatty this morning. It's great. And this is actually something Trish just put here. She knits for charity, and it was how she got back into knitting.
Yes.
Do you see that a
Yes.
lot? That's people,
Yes.
their reintroduction.
And if they can't knit, there's always someone that will help them. We are in Christchurch, we've got libraries, and a lot of the groups that knit for us are from libraries, and there's always someone that will help you. I can't crochet, and they all keep telling me, "Oh, we're going to show you how to crochet," because it's important, and you've got and it's good. That's a lot of them have got back into it through. And especially over now.
Well, yes. So then that's another great point. If you've got someone who is at home and they're struggling, or they've found with lockdown it's really difficult. I mean, a lot of us with mental health have found it. It has been really, really tough, and that's when knitting and crochet is really quite fantastic. If they are, something like this, doing some charity knitting, even if it's just doing basic blankets.
Some of them just do squares.
Is a really good thing to do for your mental health. And if you're in an area and you're not really quite sure where to go to, you can always drop Barbara a line, and if she's got a group in an area, she can put you guys together and actually get things started. So
because the hospitals now use knitting as like in Burwood and Christchurch, they teach them to knit to get them, and just before the lockdown, it would have been about Christmas, they gave me a box, and I thought, oh, these are lovely, all squares, and some of them were not very flash, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do with these? And I thought, well, they'll make squares for the SPCA. So my lockdown, I made 50 blankets for the SPCA out of this box, because they just weren't good enough for a child, and I wasn't going to do them.
No.
And I thought, what a good use. And SPCA are always crying out for blankets.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, I'm sure Patch won't care if one of the squares was looking a little bit more creative.
I must have been getting a bit desperate at the end, because I was colour coordinating. And I thought, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be doing it. And I just thought, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Moppy the cat might like it.
Well, the thing that I like is there's always a need.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where it is, there is always a need. So there is no such thing as knitting that is going to be redundant. There's always a need. It will always be able to be used. So don't feel like that's ever going to be.
And it's good though. We all sort of, most of the knitting groups, crafty volunteers I work a lot with, and Maggie and I have known each other a very long time, and we work together quite well. And if anything's needed in Christchurch or down south, she'll send me a message, because she's in Wellington. So a lot of groups all work together, and we all know each other, so we put people onto other people. So I can always help with anything like that. I can help with.
Well, and I know too with Sandra as well, because I mean, if we've ever got stuff that needs to go out, you're Sandra's first port of call. And it's all part of that wider community and that wider network, which is something that has always been at the forefront of what we do here at Skeinz. So, Barbara, it's been a joy, absolutely. We get to do the fun stuff now. Once we finish with you guys, Barbara and I get to go and pull some yarn together.
Thank you very much. I've loved it. I sort of, when I started off at the trust, just being the office lady, I thought, I needed something. And 11 years ago, the boss just said, would you want to do something? I'd love to do it. And it's all started from there. And it's lovely. And I love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it. So thank you. And if anyone wants to help or join us, I'll get Maree to put the details up.
I will put all the details in the comments. I'll also make sure that I do that over on YouTube when I get that up as well. And look, if you're uncertain, all of you already here on Facebook, just look up the Kiwi Family Trust on Facebook and you'll find their page. But we will make sure that we can get those details out. So don't forget, Big Ball Bonanza is starting from tomorrow, and $75 either in-store or online will get you a free gift with purchase as well for the birthday. So there you go. It's the Skeinz birthday helping along for Queen's birthday. So
it's great, isn't it? It's very good.
Very good. Lovely. Now, and on that note, because it is Queen's birthday this weekend, which means Monday is a public holiday, two things. One, we're not open this Saturday. I know there are some visiting, but we just don't have the staff covers. So we're not opening this Saturday. And the quarantine diaries, I'm actually going to have Monday off because I have my mum here. So the first time, I know I'm going to Wairau to pick her up tomorrow. So it's the first time that I've been able to, we had visits planned, and then of course lockdown happened. So I haven't seen her for a really long time. So I'm looking forward to getting her down. So I'm going to take that break. But I will be doing quarantine diaries because Skeinz Diaries, but I will be doing, I said quarantine because I'll be doing it from home. I'll do it from the she shed on Thursday just to catch up with you, because I'm going to be away from the shop next week while I have some time with her. So I hope everyone has an excellent weekend. Don't forget those 2 offers that we've got on, and make sure that, if you're wanting to get back into touch with knitting, know someone that wants to get back into touch with knitting, is looking for something to do and knit. Remember charity knitting, and there's always a place. There'll always be a place for it.
I always find a home for everything. Nothing goes to waste.
Home for everything. So thank you, Barbara.
No, thank you for having me. It's been lovely to see you.
And I'm very proud of myself. I said to Barbara, I'm very proud of myself. I've managed to get everything set up without too much disaster. I'm getting better at this technology. Not brilliant, but getting better. All right, take care, everybody. See you then.